Okay. Well, hello and welcome to Plugging Along, a stream dedicated to LOTRO plugins. Last time on Plugging Along, I started the Deadly Decoy plugin for hunters. This would give a hunter a visual tracker of a clue of when the deadly decoy will explode. This time I'm going to be making improvements to that plugin, and we will step in, as you can see, to the Isengard Tavern to dig into what happens when you need to gather data and you just don't have characters that give you that data. So as always, feel free to jump into chat with your thoughts and questions. I know there's probably not going to be a lot of people watching this particular stream today because of the excitement of Brawler, as Charlotte Skies points out. Brawler and the very first bits of the legendary item revamps are out, and people are looking at, or some people are getting a preview shot today. Tomorrow, everyone will get their hands on it. So with that being said, I'm going to try to stick with the plugin side of things for right now, but we'll see where the stream goes. Okay, so we have found ourselves in the Isengard Tavern. If you haven't seen this, this is a special tavern on Bull Roar where you can do cool things. For instance, and relevant to our continuing on from last time, there are NPCs here who will level you up. Although Maid of Lions is a little deceptive, it said a 1 to 50 level up, and I was expecting that I could advance level 2, level 3, level 4, but no, it's straight to 10. So that was a bit of a surprise. So if you want to see specifically stuff between levels 1 and 9, you're going to have to do it yourself. Okay, so let's do a quick little review on where we were. So when I open up the plugins manager here, oh, you know, I haven't even adjusted my chat window here. I'm going to want to spin off. So I create a new tab and pull it off. And we're going to go ahead and say standard and error. I want to see both of those in here. Okay. So we had made the hunter assist. And now we did some experiments last time and found that traps don't give us nearly the kind of feedback that decoys do. So we'll probably have to downgrade that idea of hunter assist to deadly decoy assist. But we called it hunter assist, and what happens is if you summon out a deadly decoy, then you get this nice big display here with a ticking down timer bar that shows you when that display is going to go poof. Sorry, I'm looking to the side here. Awesome. So we see the decoy went poof. The icon also disappeared. Now, that's great, but it doesn't account for a few things. And the one big one that I think would be a really cool feature is we can see how much damage is done to a decoy in combat. I'll go ahead and rename this. So if I create a new tab, something we might be interested in is combat enemy. And that will show what combat the enemy is doing towards me or my pets, or my decoy in this case. So, combat enemy. Let's see. And then one more tab we might find useful. Rename this combat. What's it called? I forgot. Combat player. There we go. So rename that combat player. So those are useful things. So we can see how much damage is coming in to the decoy, but we don't have an easy way to tell how much morale a decoy has. What we did last time was we threw in some code that whenever our target changes, it tells us how much morale that target has, if any. So for instance, a Budgeford here being an NPC with no morale, you can see on the green bar, that comes back as 0. But Galaka here, we can see the first time I clicked on them, it was 0, and now this time we can see the morale is 1,878 and a bit, which I think is delightful that the underlying API does not do any rounding. Let's see, anything else? Anyone else? Yeah, you'd think there'd be more people here. Oh well. That's what we get for a preview. Baz does point out, it takes a bit before the target data actually loads. Absolutely, that's what we're seeing here. And so what we can do is we can summon out a decoy, click on it, and see how much morale it comes out with. Now this is me at level 15. We can see it has 435. And if I were to go to level 16, you just click and it's done. And maybe dismiss, oh, it's already blown up. And then of course, wait for the next one to come out. Gotta wait another 8 seconds. Then we can see, does the morale change based on you leveling? Now, something we tried last time was, does the gear that you're wearing, does your morale matter? And so we tried fully loaded gear, bring out a decoy. We tried taking off all of our gear, just pulling out the decoy while naked. And we got the same morale either way. So my assumption is, if the morale changes based on your level, it doesn't also change based off of your gear. Cool, okay, so we can see we went from 435 to 465. Now, this might not be the most exciting content, but I think it's a useful way to point out how one might go about gathering data like this for a plugin. So we might not do all 130 levels on stream, but we might do the first 50 levels. Now, I've got an Excel window over here. Let me go ahead and pull it up. And Excel, yeah, let's do that. Is that coming through? That's coming through. Yeah, we'll just stick it above my head. Okay, so hopefully that is pretty visible. And so the idea being, I did a few levels off screen right before this started. Oh, you know what? All of this does not matter. Good. So we can actually go through and we can just fill in the details for each level as we step through. Made of Lions, send me to 17, summon out a deadly decoy, and click. Excellent. So, and then we just write that down, 47.5. And for the curious, I've got the difference between each level coming through here on the side. Baz asks, does the decoy count as a pet? You would think so. But last time we tried getting the pet information of ourselves, and the answer is no. And just to come back in on that note, let me go ahead and slip over. Here we go. So let's see. That was probably in main. So one of the things we did was in the target changed, we had a local pet equals local player get pet. So we have a local player object, which is pointed at our instance, and we call the get pet function on it, and we call it during the target change. So we can wait a second or two, let the decoy fully resolve, and then write out any information we have about it. In fact, let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and come on into Plugins Manager. We're going to unload that. We're going to reload that. Awesome. So let me go ahead and just bring out the same one we had. So we've got this. Click on it. And we can see pet came back as nil. And it's still nil. So it's some sort of special classification where it seems like it should be a pet, but it's not a pet in the classic lore master kind of sense where you have a distinct actor that's got its own morale and powers and abilities and all these cool things. And so it just doesn't seem to feed into that same API system. So yeah, that would have been awesome if we could just say, get pet, get the max morale, done, right? And then we don't have to worry about it. So the follow-up plan is to go ahead and just make a table, right? Like there's only 130 levels of Hunter right now, and that'll go up over time. But just make a table where we can say, if the table contains our level, use that. Otherwise, guess, right? And we can make some guesses about what some of those missing values might be once we see if there's any patterns. For the first 5 levels or so, it seemed like a lovely pattern, right? For level 11, 12, 13, 14, there was just 22 and a half new morale points, which is a funny increment, but sure, why not? 22 and a half is a lovely number. But then it was 52 and a half, and then it was 30, and then it was back to 22 and a half, which I wouldn't expect it to be a linear path the whole way, because the difference between your morale from level 120 to 130 is so much bigger in LOTRO than it is between, say, 40 and 50, or 75 and 85. And so you would expect some sort of exponential like curve to come out of a graph of these numbers, which is part of why I wanted to do this. I wanted to see, like, does my guess match the reality here? All right, so we had the 47.5. Hey, Made of Lions, take us to 18. Great. Pull out the new decoy, and we can see that that's 510. Awesome. In fact, we can just go ahead and copy that on down. That's going to be funny. So if you're doing it this way, by default, Deadly Decoy has a cooldown of 30 seconds, and so you can't do it faster than 2 a minute, basically. So that's why we're only going to go through the first dozen or so here. That'll give us enough to work with from a plugin perspective. Okay. 532.5. Awesome. And we can see we're kind of back on pattern. And of course, the difference here, well, that went up by 30, and then that was 30, and then went back to 22.5. Okay, I'm not sure what's up there. Awesome. So up to 20. Awesome. The war effort needs me. You bet it does, but they're not going to get me. And Deadly Decoy. Awesome. So we can see we're up to 600 here. That's a bit of a jump. That's interesting. And so do we start seeing 67 going forward, or does it go back to 20? All right. And so that's the kind of thing you can do. Every once in a while, Bulwer comes around. And so if you have questions about what does this look like level to level, there might be more refined ways of doing it, but you can always just brute force it by just saying, okay, what does it look like at level 21? What does it look like at level 22? Is that a brawler next to me? There's a Bjorning, another Bjorning, Bjorning. You know, I forgot to increase my graphics settings from when I was doing something earlier. Let me go ahead and see if that makes this any different. They still look like Bjornings, though. I know a lot of people were interested in coming on to look at the legendary item side of things. And I'm guessing if you are a Bjorning, you want to see how a Bjorning works in the wild, whereas if you're looking at legendary items, you can maybe do a lot more of that in the Isengard. Or maybe we're all just here working on plugins, which would just be delightful. I think the intent of getting me access today, yeah, they do look kind of short, don't they? I think the intent of getting me access was to look at some of this new content, but there's so rarely a Bulwer on a Tuesday when I stream, I just couldn't help but ask for that. Hobbit Brawler. Okay, so it looks like you're correct. It is a Brawler, and it looks like that icon just hasn't been updated. So we have a level 15 Brawler. Looks like they come out with the worn fighting equipment. No legendary items. All right, good eyes. You're right, that was too short for Bjorning. Oh, I'm sorry, I should be calling out this decoy. Okay, 630. That's delightfully random. Oh, interesting. I dismissed my decoy, and I'm not sure that came through with any sort of a combat notice. Oh, but let's go ahead and create a new tab, and there we can go ahead and track combat events, which internally goes by the name death, which you can see why they didn't do that. All right, so we don't have 22 yet, so bring that back out. Awesome. So we'll come back in. Let me see, that's 652.5. Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? And then dismiss. Okay, so if you manually dismiss the decoy, I'm not sure we have a way of knowing that that happened. So I'll have to think about that. What do we do? Like, is it okay that the icon stays there? Does no one actually dismiss their decoys in the wild? I mean, this seems like a very in-town sort of problem. All right, so we need to go to 23 and bring out that decoy. Bam. All right, so 682.5. If you don't want to type, you can, of course, just copy-paste it out of the chat there. And on to 24. Halfway there. Neat. Remote quests. Love them. Yeah, Baz. That's a reasonable guess. Is it every 5 levels that we just get a bump? And yeah, what's going on with those 30s instead of 22.5s? Very interesting. All right. So, 705. I'm going to go ahead and just scale down that little running tally formula just a little bit more. So the character I was playing with over on Treebeard is level 50. So I think for tedium's sake, if nothing else, we'll go ahead and just stop at 50. And I'll come back in later after the stream maybe and fill the rest in, or tomorrow. We don't have to go through all 130 levels here. Although we could. If that's what the people want to see. Well, the person anyway. All right, so 787.5. Oh, yep, it's a every 5th level kind of thing. So that at least conforms to that pattern. And on to 26. Yeah, Baz, I agree. The 30s are kind of random, and what it makes me think of. Oops, gotta do this first. 810. All right, that looks more familiar. What it makes me think of is internally when you level, do you get some sort of adjustment to your base morale, and is this correlated to that? And that's something, if I was a cleverer person, I might be doing that right now. So hang on a second. Let's go ahead and look up in the. Let's go ahead and look up in the API reference here. And I tend to just go back to this whenever I'm like, oh, how do I do the thing? So we've seen the local player. There should be some sort of, get a base max morale. And then also get max morale. So let's go ahead and just print that out at the same time. So local base max morale equals, and then we already have a local player. So we're just going to go ahead and call get base max morale, and we'll capture the other one while we're at it. And let me go ahead and turn down that desktop audio. I am not the only one leveling constantly here. Hopefully that's not too much in the background. Max morale here equals local player get max morale. Awesome. And then we'll just go ahead and write that out. So turbine shell.writeLine lets us write to the standard chat. And then my base max morale. And we'll go ahead and print out a number and my max morale. And we'll print out another number. And those are formatting flags, so we can do a string.format. And that's nice, so we don't have to do a bunch of string concatenation as well, but you can do it either way. Base max morale and max morale. Awesome. Let's give that a try. We'll go ahead and reload the plugins. Come back here to System menu, Plugin Manager, Unload, Reload. Well, that's promising. Now, we already had, let's see, we were about to do level 27. We are level 27, great. Bring that out. And it's 840. And you know what? Let's just go ahead and record 1041, my base right there. We can see it up here. I'm wearing nothing that would contribute to my morale. I've just got this lovely, the Havoc of the Hammerhand for aesthetics. So we'll record those while we're going, and that might be really interesting to see as well. So let's go ahead and track that as well. Now, some of this might very well be in the wiki or in other places, but sometimes it's nice to just dig in and kind of see for yourself, right? Like as we're seeing these numbers change, we maybe get a little bit better intuitive sense of what's going on under the covers than we would if we just look it up in a table on the wiki. So anyway, that's 27, so advance to 28, great. And bring out the decoy. And we'll just go ahead and type it in. So 870 and 1067. Now that's really interesting. We're getting whole numbers. I wonder if we're going to keep getting whole numbers for our own health. So we'll keep trying that. So that's 28, so we need to go to 29. Awesome. And decoy. All right, so 900, we now went up by 30, 1093, went up by 26. Interesting, so the decoy is actually doing better than we are. You know what, let me go ahead and give us some headers here. So decoy health, player health, decoy delta, player delta. And we can even go ahead and put that in multiple lines, and then we'll do a freeze frame real fast. Awesome, so view, really, window, yeah, freeze panes, freeze, there we go, awesome. So we have 29, time to go to 30. Bam. Oh, you like my character's name? That's awesome. I was curious if Plugging Along was a valid character name, and it turns out it is. Maybe I should go get that on every server. Uh-oh. Did I click on it? I did. All right. So 1119. Wait a second. I'm not convinced I clicked on the right thing. Target space. There we go. That was going to be way too much. And then mine is 1119. Great. Okay. Now, one thing that I'm noticing personally is that there's a lot, I'm saying a lot in this standard chat, and I could probably get away with saying less. So if we come in here, we can go ahead and abbreviate. Kind of cut down on the chatter there. And then, you know what? We did one line for us and two lines up there. That's nice and concise in a way, but we can probably do better. So we'll go ahead and just, let's see, there we go. Wow, that's all sorts of stuff happening around me. I'm gonna go ahead and just bring that down. Hopefully that's not blowing out your ears on that end. All right, I guess they got tired of going slowly. Like, I thought you could skip. I'm confused by what's happening here, but it's very pretty. Okay, so we've gotten the level 30 information. We can go ahead and go straight to level 31, and let's do it. Okay, so we can see things are a little bit more concise here. Huh. All right, our morale has started to get wonky. I'll go ahead and record that. Yeah, we're getting some decimal values now that we weren't getting before. So it looks like level 30 is when you start getting fractional morale. Okay, we've got level 31. Let's go to level 32. I'm trying very hard not to accidentally click past where we want to be. Okay, so 112.5 and 1171.26. That 0.26 is just so weird. Oh, you think I should just print it out like that? What badge do you mean in Excel, or do you? Oh, decoy help divide. Oh, I see what you mean. I see. A ratio. Let me make that window a little bit wider. No one needs to worry about that. All right, equals that divided by that. And you know what? Let's go ahead and like. Well, do we need to round it? Nah. Okay, that's not obvious what the connection is there. That's delightful. All right, let's check out 33. All right, 1042.5 and 1197.26 again. Yeah, well, the ratio they're approaching each other, right? The decoy's health is growing faster than the player's, so the ratio is approaching. Oh, you say other way around. Okay. Other. Oh, are you saying I should divide 1 by the previous one as well and see that? There's all sorts of numbers here, but I'm not thinking they're showing us much yet. Okay. We'll hide that for a bit. We'll come back. We'll do graphs and stuff. All right. All right, got another 60 out of that level. Why not? Let's go ahead and advance to 35. New skirmish available, but which one? Okay. Oh, where are we? 35? We still need 35. Awesome. That's back to being a little consistent looking. All right, 15 more. Yeah, I have a lot of skill. Oh, good. I can finally get out of here. I forgot to complete whatever quest it is that makes you a novice for a Hobbit Hunter. And so I bought a map to go to Thorin's Hall. Oh, so to make them delving, but it requires being a novice. But I'm pretty sure I have to be outside of the Isengard to become a novice, unless it's in one of these boxes, I guess. And I can't learn how to ride because I'm not a novice. And so, a note to self for next time, I guess. But because I'm a hunter, I can at least guide myself to Bree. All right, 36. Let's get you. All right. And awesome. I didn't buy a milestone. I completely forgot to do that. Although I'm not. Does Archit even have a milestone?
You can't get it to your novice.
Oh, right. Milestones require being a novice. See, it's all connected. Now I thought about making a data gathering plugin where it checks the name of what you're targeting. If it's a deadly decoy, it goes ahead and just saves off that with your level. And that's totally something you can do. But since I still had to do the manual part of leveling up, and I still had to do the manual part of summoning out the decoy, it felt like it wasn't saving me a lot. Like the big thing it would be saving me would be the effort of typing right here, and the chance of making errors. Right, it would just go ahead and record it all, unless there was a bug in my code and it trashed all the results after an hour of work, and so it was one of those things where you could do that, and if if that was someone associated with the wiki and they wanted to know base stats for a brawler and they were just cycling through all the levels and automatically like getting this information, that's totally something you can do to some extent with a plugin. Oh, we still need 39. All right. Oh, haha. I'm sorry, I messed up. I had already had 38. All right, leveled up. There we go. 39. 1297.5. Not surprising at all. Okay, well, I think it's really interesting that player delta has been really consistently just 26, except for at level 30 where you get a quarter of a morale. But yeah, just that base 26 all the way along. That's fascinating. All right, let's get. Oh, hey. So one of the things the Detracker plugin does, because I was a little sad about the whole new skirmish available, and then you click, and then it doesn't highlight them, like it doesn't tell you what's new. And so the Detracker will say, hey, at level 40 you have 2 new skirmishes available, Fort Brunnen and the Icy Crevasse. And it's like, oh, that's cool. Oh, hello, Raid. Welcome. You will find here us in the Isengard of the Bullroarer test server. This is plugging along where we're working on a hunter plugin to help with the deadly decoy to show when the decoy is going to blow up. But we want to know when it's going to die in combat as well. And so what we're doing here in the Isengard is just doing a little bit of data harvesting, where we go ahead and we summon out a decoy, and we click on it, and we get its morale, and just for kicks, our morale as well. So I know a lot of, whoa, that was a huge jump. Hang on. Oh, it is level 40 though. We have been seeing a big jump every 5 levels. But just to make sure I didn't misclick here. All right, that is 1402. Okay, so your decoy gets way better at level 40. And so that's what we're doing here, is sadly not a look at the Brawler or the Legendary Item revamps, although I will be looking at those later when I'm not on the stream. But specifically plugin data harvesting, when you're making a very specific plugin like this, it can be useful just to step onto the test server and see what the values are from level to level. And so that's what we're doing here. And we're just going to go through level 50. I'm not going to do all 130 levels here. But that'll give us a way. Oh, hey, stop standing on my decoy. There we go. That'll give us a starting point for writing this plugin, since the other character I was using last week was just level 150. Okay. Interesting. So things start getting better at level 40. Interesting. But maybe that's where difficulty starts ramping up a little bit too, because we know the difficulty, the amount stuff goes up at each level isn't really linear. It's more of an exponential curve where the higher you are, the more stuff changes. All right, so we want to go ahead and get to level 42. Now, if you haven't been to the Isengard Tavern, this is all about being on a test server, and so there's NPCs here to let you do a bunch of things to really make life easier if you want to test something, if you want to preview something. Oh, wow. 42 is a big jump. So there's NPCs here for leveling up, as we're seeing here. We just got 42, so we want to get to 43. But I was short of money earlier, so there's an NPC over here that you talk to them, you take a quest, you turn the quest in, he gives you 250 gold. Why not? Okay. Okay, what I'm seeing here is that as a hunter, you really want to be level 40 or above. That's what I'm seeing from these numbers. Yeah. Okay, so instead of going up by 30 per level or so, now it's going up by 120 per level. And your base health, though, is not going up any faster. So it seems like it's quite possible that your equipment would get that much better. All right, let's go to 44. All right, 45, 1.83. Awesome. Baz, I agree. I am not sure what's going on with this, and I have to assume it's based on mob level and equipment level and all of these things wrapped together, where maybe if you go into the Misty Mountains, there's a bit of a jump. Even though you're only going up 1 or 2 levels in mob, maybe there's a bit of a jump in health, and your quest rewards start being better as well, right? Like there's, I mean, certainly we know the game doesn't scale linearly, but you know, it's neat to see behind the covers here. Oh, level 45. You one new skirmish. Barrow down survival. Oh, that one is tough. I have not survived. Okay. And 15926. Awesome. And it blew up. Great. So we can advance to 46 while we're waiting. Too bad Destiny is not per account. I may need to clean up here. All right. 7.5 and 1535. Okay, so that player delta, I'm glad we went ahead and started doing that because it was very interesting to me. And yeah, the decoy doesn't scale to that at all. And my first assumption, based off of just guessing, was that the decoy would just have whatever the player's health was, and that's how you would scale it. Obviously, that's not the case. We've seen that's disconnected completely. Okay, so we were going up by 120s, now 127, 135. So we're going up by similar amounts. All right, last 3. And then we'll go ahead and start doing some code. Are there passive skills that I get? You know, that I don't know. And that's the kind of thing that I suspect the wiki actually does have. And it might have this too. Like, I really just wanted to come through here to get a chance to come on the test server, even though it's not specifically about the new content. 1587. Okay. Now, we had seen previously that when I click the wrong button, my window goes. We had seen previously that at level 50, we were seeing 2670. So what I really want to see here is that converging on that same value. Oh, so we have this. Okay. So let's go ahead and go over to 49. Got our dummy, our decoy, 2527, and great. So yeah, ideally, we're coming up on that 2670 number. Sure looks plausible. Made Alliance, the last thing. Oh, and it's just automatic. That's fun. New skirmish. What is it? Well, looks like might be missing something. Okay, so Deadly Decoy 2670. Beautiful. That's nice to see. Okay, so as I assume there's authorial intent behind this system here. I assume it's not just for kicks that. But to match other things in the game so that hunters don't feel overpowered or underpowered compared to everything else going around them. Balancing all of that sounds nightmarishly complicated. So I'm glad I'm just doing a little plug-in here. So what does this get us? We now have decoy health for levels 10 through 50. And we can put that into a Lua table. 10 equals this, 11 equals this, 12 equals this. We can put that into a Lua table, and we can use that to get a sense, well, to know how many morale that decoy comes out with. Now, one of the things we saw earlier is that before we switched to the deadly decoy, we had a regular decoy. So it had a certain amount of health. We switched over, it had the same amount of health. And fortunately, we know of no current traits that affect the health of the decoy. There's 2 traits that affect, I believe, how much damage it does and reduces the critical defense of the enemies, I think. But fortunately, we don't have to worry about any traits about how much health is going on when the decoy gets summoned out. So we just know we are this level when we summon it out. The decoy has this much health. We can give it a health bar. So that's what we want to do next. Now people are doing cool things in here. Maybe we'll just go run over here by the bear. Hi, Bobo. Class trait points. Well, you don't want to talk to me? That's fine. I didn't want to talk to you anyway. Okay, so let's look at some code. Now, I've got this Excel spreadsheet saved, but it's not really in a format that's going to do us any good. What we want to do is have some sort of a table. Now, we have a couple files already. We have main, utils. Oh, sorry, I haven't switched back. We have a couple files already. We were working in main. We have utils, the actual window that pops up. Right now, sticking it into main is fine, but we'll probably move it somewhere else. So while we're at it, let's go ahead and make a globals.lua. Just give us a place to put it where it doesn't clutter things up. And then we do want to remember to do an import of globals. And that'll make sure that, that everything in this file gets executed as well. Awesome. Oh, cool. Thanks, Moonbot. Severlin has a producer's letter. Oh, right. Back in February. Can you believe how many months ago that was? Ugh. Okay. So when we are thinking about Lua tables, if we don't remember what the syntax is, we can always look at another example. So for instance, I'm going to pull up the deed tracker, deed info file, and remind myself, oh, those are kind of big. Okay, this is the kind of thing that I'm looking at right here. We have a name of the table. It's you use braces to define it. And within that, we can say the index equals the value. And in this case, it's another table, but we're just going to be using numbers. Awesome. So let's just go ahead and copy that in, and we'll base stuff off of that. So we're going to go ahead and do decoy. Let's remember what we're doing. Deadly decoy health equals, and then we can just fill it in. Now we know the syntax. We want it to look like an index equals a number. We'll just call it x. And then we have a semicolon. That's what we want it to look like. Well, Excel is actually really convenient for this kind of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and recapture that window here. I know the name's already in use. All right. Maybe if we copy it into this scene. And duplicate. Sure. Awesome. Okay, so one of the things you can do in Excel is you can just use it to create Lua-like syntax. Now, Excel doesn't know Lua, and that's okay. But what we can do is, let's get rid of the decoy stuff for a minute, is we can say this equals a concatenation equals concat. And we want it to be an open bracket, the level, a closed bracket, space equals space. Oh, wait, aha. Closed bracket space equals space, and then we want it to be this value and then a semicolon, right? We can just make it do that. And if we copy that formula down and then copy that into here, then suddenly we have a Lua table, and we didn't have to do all of that by hand. We already had the numbers. Neat. Now, the one thing that I wonder about is, does it matter that some of them are decimal and some of them are not? Probably not, but if that comes back to haunt me, we'll know for sure. Oh, well, thanks for stopping by. Whether or not that was what you were expecting, we're glad to have you here. Based on your name, I suspect you're German, which places you at the same time as us, which is almost 10 o'clock at night. So yeah, definitely could be a bedtime. Okay, so we have a table for health. Based on this table, and again, some entries are missing. We don't have, I'm not sure what the earliest level you can get a decoy is, but presumably at level 6 when you specialize, you might be able to get it then. So we don't have below level 10, and we don't have above level 50. So for those, we might want to guess. But for now, we'll just ignore that and keep on moving. So we want to go ahead and make use of this in the deed window. The hunter assist window. And remember, this is the window that when we summon out the decoy, this thing is the window that we're talking about, the hunter assist window. It has the icon, it has a bar below it, and now I want to go ahead and add a bar for morale. And we can go ahead and track when the decoy is being hit in the combat chat. So that's the idea. I have not done this part before, ever, so we're going to go ahead and give it a try. Okay, so we know that the image control is the fixed image above. That's fine. Now we also have the timer control, and below that, we might want to go ahead and create a health control. And this is just going to be a bare control. And remember, a control is just a thing that you can do stuff with. It doesn't have any inherent look or feel to it. It's just an invisible window on which you can do things. That is true. Most every other stream on the LOTRO stream, thanks for pointing that out, Little Redhead, most every other stream on here is significantly less programming and significantly more gameplay. But that's just not how we do things here at Plugging Along. Okay, one thing that we want to check is the size of things. We're going to be going ahead and adding something else in. So we do want to go ahead and make sure we make the window itself a little bit taller so that we can see this thing. The second thing we want to make sure we do is you always have to have a control always has to be parented by something that will be drawn in order for the control to be drawn. So the Hunter Assist window is a window that's a top level control. It can be drawn. But the health control, we need to say set parent to make sure it's inside of something that will be drawn. Hey, Thrillor, welcome. If you are just joining us, you missed us gathering some detail from the test server on decoy health and just for the heck of it, player health, although that's not necessary right now. We'll go ahead and scoot that out of here. And so we gathered the decoy health, and so we're just about to start drawing a health bar. Okay, so this is actually going to look very similar to the timer control. So I'm really just looking above and making sure I include the same kinds of things here. So health control, set size, awesome. Again, we're just doing 32 wide and 5 tall. The stretching is happening with this to make it look bigger or smaller. We're just using a fixed size. Okay, and then the set top is how far from the top are we? Now we know the previous one was 36 and another 5. So we want to go ahead and be, let's call it 42 from the top, and we'll see what that looks like. So the back color, now morale is usually represented by green, so let's go ahead and start with that. If we wanted to go ahead and use a graphic manipulation tool like a new image manipulation program or something else, take a screenshot, use an eyedropper tool to get that exact color. We could do that. Right now I'm just going to be lazy and say green is the color, but we could come back and make that a little bit more matching of the colors. Although, I think since those might be reskinnable, I'm not going to go too far down that path. All right, now timer control had a start time. We don't need to worry about that. It had set mouse visible false. We definitely want that. and it had an update function. Now we don't have to worry about that here. What we want to do is pay attention to combat messages and manually update the width of that bar. Okay, but the first thing we want to do is to see, did that actually do anything? If we go ahead and reload our plugin, it's taking the detector a second to unload. Hopefully I haven't crashed something here. My spinny circle is not very confidence-inducing. There we go. Okay, so awesome. So we can see we have a green bar for health. That green is close enough. I love it. And so what we want to do now is have a way to update the length of that bar. Now, this is a great place where we can introduce a function. Function hunter assist window set. Well, we need to know the max morale, don't we? So this, when we are, let's see, constructor show. When we're showing, this is where we want to go ahead and get the max morale for Decoy. And we'll store that off. And we want to reset that as well. So, self.health control, we want to go ahead and reset that width just in case it's gone down. And we don't need either of those two. Those are specific to being a timer. Okay, so what's that max health? Well, we need to know the current level of the hunter because that's what seems to determine these things. Whoa, well that's not going to be helpful. Well, we're actually kind of done with that Excel file, aren't we? Because we have now imported those into here as a Lua table. And so we don't really need that Excel file for right now. Oh, definitely don't need, what have I done? We definitely don't need that. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at the local player. And local player has a get level function. Gets the level of the actor. Awesome. So when we are showing the window, we'll just grab that level, use that level to look up in the table and get the health from that. If the health isn't there, we have some choices. We could guess, or we could just say, no, we're not going to do it. You're at a weird level. We're not going to show you the bar. Either one's fine. I'll probably default to the second one because that makes my life easier. Okay, so get the max morale. We already saw in our main what it looks like to get the local player. We actually already have a local player in our namespace. So if we come on in here, we can say local current level equals local player get level. And we know that that is probably correct, but we can double check. Turbine.shell.writeLine. Well, that's weird. Okay. We're going to go ahead and just write that out. Current level. And we'll go ahead and concatenate that in. And that'll give us some level of confidence that we're getting the right thing. Don't know why I keep closing my plugin manager, but I should not do that. Okay. So if we go ahead and load this out, we get a current level of 50. Awesome. That's exactly what we wanted to see. Now, if for some reason that current level did not give us a valid value, but it gave us nil, then I think we're in a weird state, and I'm okay not worrying about that for right now. Okay, so we know we got the current level. Local base decoy health equals, now we have this array, and we can go ahead and look it up. Thurlar has kindly put in a bunch of different possible green values, and those are predefined values. So turbine.ui.color.something. Now, one of the reasons I keep two different API documentations in place is the color. Oh, where have I put it? UI. Turbine.ui.color. If you come in here, this documentation doesn't do a great job of telling you what possible values there are in this namespace, but this other documentation over on the wiki does. So if we come to the API reference, again, we're coming into .ui, and we come into, color, and then in addition to these things, we'll also have these colors that are available in the namespace. And so if we were to copy those in and use comma space to go ahead and put them all on the same line, and then we were to search for green, we could do that same thing. And hey, there's a list of greens. Awesome. But you can do that same thing if you're looking for all the blues, if you're looking for all the whatevers. Come in, highlight, select blues, select all those lines, and cool. Those are all the things that are blue that are predefined that you don't have to find RGB values for, red, green, blue values for. So that's one reason I really do like this documentation sometimes as a reference. But I find moving around this, both because it's downloaded on my machine locally, and also just I'm a little bit more used to it. But yeah, definitely the reference on the LOTROinterface.com wiki site can be very useful. And sometimes they have samples. Okay, so we are getting that decoy health. Now this could be nil because it might not be in the table. So if decoy health equals nil, then we want to do something. Else, we want to do something else. And what we said before, if it's nil, then we probably just want to go ahead and not do this, right? Like it's fine. But either way, let's see. We do want to record off what the value was. Health control, and we're going to say, let's see. Decoy max health equals 0 in this case. And otherwise, we can save off the actual value. Decoy health. Cool. And that'll come in useful because we'll use that maximum health to figure out how big the bar should be. And so, decoy damage, we're going to have a decoy damage function that takes damage amount, and it's going to do something here. What is it going to do? We need to know, well, first of all, if that max health is 0, then we're done. Thurlar asks, should the local variable also be called decoy max health? Yeah, probably. In fact, the array itself could be called the decoy max health per car level. Might be a slightly more descriptive name anyway. And then, yeah, absolutely. We could come in here and we could say decoy max health. First of all, if the decoy max health is 0, we're done because we're not messing with this bar. So if self.healthControl.decoy max health equals 0, then return end, right? So now we know that we're in the happy path of we know what the max morale is. Well, I won't necessarily respond to all of your nitpicking, Thurlar, but I do appreciate calling out places where we can be a little bit kinder to our future self. Because if I come back to this after a month, I'm like, where was I? Current me can either be nicer to future me or meaner to future me. And we should strive to be nice. Okay, so we have a check that says we must have max health that's meaningful, and we should even double check that check works. So what we should do is we should go ahead and set the level 50 value, which we're at, to nothing, and come in and make sure that this is all working properly. So okay, good. We deployed the decoy, it's counting down, but there's no health bar. Perfect. And if we put that value back, what we're going to want to see, bam, awesome, is we'll see a full bar. Now, a point that Little Redhead made earlier, I think even before the stream started, was that wouldn't it be neat to show how much time is left, not just the ticking down bar? And I said, well, that's a really cool idea. So one of the things I would like to do today or on a future stream is go ahead and not just have the bar, but also a number ticking somewhere, even if it's a small one, 14, 13, 12, 11. And same thing with the health. Although the health maybe should be a percentage, maybe it should be a number, maybe that should be an option. I'm not sure. Cool. So we know that our check for is it valid or not is working just fine because we just tried it both ways. Laura asks, are you handling the case where the level cap has been increased, but the plugin hasn't been updated? Well, that's what we're doing right here, is basically handling it by not handling it. So if we find the value in the table, then we'll show the health bar. If the value is not in the table, we're not showing the health bar. I think it would be perfectly valid to try to guess. Once I have all of the current 130, well, up to level 130, once I have those values, I think one could very easily plot them and get a sense of, is this exponential growth? Is it linear with some tweaking? What's going on here? And you could try to fill in the gaps a little bit. But without a level, a stat squish, I think trying to extrapolate 120 to 130 into what happens at 130 to 135, maybe. Maybe they keep going in that exponential direction, maybe not. And so, yeah, I think one could try to fill in the gap. But I also think, these numbers are easy to obtain, at least when Bullroar comes around. So, yeah, I could go either way. But what we've done right now is just to say, if we don't have it, don't draw the bar. If we have it, draw the bar. Great. Awesome. So, damage amount. What we can go ahead and do is say there is a current decoy health. We don't need it there. And self.healthcontrol.decoy current health equals decoy max health. Awesome. Oh, more information. Thank you, Laura. Cool. Yeah, it's funny. I kind of forget that whole you need to install a separate thing because I've had it installed for so long. I just click the icon, it updates, and everything's fine. But then it's like, oh, wait, you don't just get that. Okay, so we want to diminish the damage amount, reduce our self.healthcontrol.decoy current health equals self.healthcontrol.decoy current health minus damage amount. Okay, now two things. Either health is less than equal to 0, decoy died, or health is bigger than 0, update bar. Thurlower comments that I think you're doing, minus equals. Languages like C#, C++, C tend to have ways to combine this into a single plus equals or minus equals command. I'm told because of the trickiness in parsing that and with Lua being like a one scan parse and you're done kind of thing, I'm told that was just dropped for parsing simplicity. But every once in a while it would sure make it a little bit more readable. Now, one thing you can do in Lua is go ahead and just use a new line to make things a little bit more clear. If something is running off the right side of the page, use white space to make it a little bit more readable. So we can see decoy health equals decoy health minus damage amount. Cool. Now, that could do something weird if the damage ever came in negative, but I don't think that ever happens. And if it does, I'm not going to worry about it. I also don't think it's possible to heal the decoy. I don't think it's a valid target for a heal. I've tried that, and I think it just healed myself, even though I was clicked on the decoy. So the decoy's health is monotonically decreasing, and so I think this is a pretty reasonable way to do that. So if health is less than or equal to 0, then else end. So we already have a way to show that the decoy died, and that was just to hide the window. I think it would be cool to introduce some sort of animation kind of thing to emphasize that it's happening instead of it just going away. But I think for now, it's enough to just go ahead and call self hide, and it goes away. And we won't see the window again until the next time we call show, and our show function is kind of resetting everything anyway. And so the next time the window shows up, it'll be in a reset, brand new state. And so we could just hide the window. Now, one of the things we might want to do with that, oh, cool, I was going to say, we might want to turn off the timer control, but the hide function does that already. Awesome. Past me is so good sometimes. And then we have health is greater than 0 update bar. So we need to get a proportion of that bar. And one of the problems with what we're doing now, which is scaling up how the UI looks, but not scaling up how many pixels we're using, is that the bar is still just 32 wide, which just doesn't give us a lot of granularity on health. It'll be enough for right now. But a thought I want to look into is only using the stretch mode for the image itself and just making these bars wider and taking advantage of all those pixels to give us a smoother timer bar and a smoother health bar. But that's fine. The logic won't change here. That'll just be a UI layout change later. So instead, we'll go ahead and calculate how much of the bar should be there. And that's going to look very similar to the timer code here, actually. So I'm going to steal it. So we have the bar width. We have hard coded that to 32. We're going to revisit that, don't worry. And what do we have? We have the self.healthControl.decoy current health divided by let's break this into two. Local percent equals current health divided by decoy max health. And again, this kind of goes off the right side. We cannot really fix that very well with white space there, but we can at least put it on 2 lines here. I like to think of it as more of a sinusoidal wave. Sometimes past me is better than what I'm doing right now, and sometimes I'm way better than past me. We trade off, right? Okay, so we go ahead and we have this percent. We're going to multiply by 32, but because we want the bar to get smaller, not larger, we're taking the full width of 32 minus whatever that percent is. Does that seem reasonable? No, I don't think that seems reasonable at all. Maybe. Let's take a look and see what this looks like. Well, it won't look like anything. You know what? Tell you what. Let's do some decoy damage. We'll do this for fakes in here. Every time update is called, let's go ahead and call self decoy damage 15. Let's see what that looks like. Okay. Okay, well, we're getting some awesome error messages there. Attempt to compare nil with a number. What did I do? Oh, hey, if health. I just took the comment that and didn't actually expand it out to the value that it needed to be. That was delightful. Let's try that again. Come back to me, Decoy. We're on a test server. Why do you have any cooldown? There we go. I'm guessing that I didn't actually fix the bar here. That's delightful. Okay. One of these days, I will remember to fix everything when I do some copy pasting. but today is not that day. Okay, so we have a percent. What percentage are we doing? We have a width of the bar, and that percent is going to be some portion. So if we're at 50%, the bar width should be half of 32 is 16. Neat. Okay. Oh, that thing died. That was very sad. But everything worked as we wanted to there. We saw, except for the fact that it died, we saw it taking about, 15 damage every tick, and there's about 10 to 20 ticks per second. If we want to see it last a little bit longer, we can come on in and only do about, let's say 5 decoy damage after update. That might make it last a little bit longer. Okay, so we see it started with a full health, but the damage it's taking is still faster than just the 15-second ticking down. Awesome, I love it. So what we're seeing is a practical but fake demonstration of that decoy damage. We need the final part here, which is we need to see what it looks like in chat when the decoy takes damage, and we need to react to that by calling this function with that value, that decoy damage. But we have all the parts in place here, and we can see that everything works. It goes down when it takes damage, the bar gets smaller. If the bar hits 0, the whole thing disappears. Awesome, we're making lots of good progress. I am afraid we might actually have to leave the Isengard here. I wonder if we can just go into an instance. Okay, now this character has no equipment whatsoever. And so we're just gonna maybe pop into a level 30 Will-O-the-Willow and die horribly. But maybe that will delight Little Redhead and she'll increment the streamer death counter. Okay, so what do we have? We can go ahead and drop that. We have a combat player, we have a combat enemy, and we have it's called combat event, but it's death. It's all death. And so what we want is to get a sense of what it looks like when the decoy is hit by an opponent. Oh, I do have a weapon. That's pretty cool. Okay. So we're getting lots of great chat content here, giving us examples. Oh, hey, and they're low enough that it actually survived. That's pretty cool. Oh, interesting. Thurlor says if you want to superimpose a cooldown overlay on the icon, you can use built-in images. Well, cool. I'm just going to copy your comment here and put it in here. I'm assuming that covers the ticking things. That's cool. Decoy cooldown equals 30 seconds. That's an interesting idea. The only reason I am thinking I probably won't worry about that this plugin right now is the cooldown of the Deadly Decoy skill is always longer than the lifespan of the Deadly Decoy, which is not true for the regular decoy, I think. I think the regular decoy will last much longer. And in fact, that can cause problems because if you forget to dismiss the decoy back there and you run to the next battle, the decoy being out will stop you from putting out another decoy. So you have to remember to right-click, dismiss, and then you can go ahead and do it. But this decoy always blows up in 15 seconds, and the cooldown's 30 seconds. So unless there's like a legendary item, the decoy cooldown kind of legacy, I'm not going to worry about that right now because you just can't summon out another deadly decoy while the current symbol is out ever. But I think that's a really neat idea. If you did have something that could have overlap, we could go ahead and emulate this cooldown overlay here over here. Oh, use it as an alternate representation versus the progress bar. Okay. That's an interesting idea. I will think on that. That might be really cool as an option, tick down versus bar. Okay, cool. That is a neat idea. Possible alternative to white countdown bar thing. Neat. Well, you're just giving me all sorts of things to copy into my notes here. Excellent. Okay, so combat enemy. One of the things you can do if you have useful things in a chat tab that you don't want to just scroll off into oblivion is you can either capture what's currently there or you can, I think, just do a continuous logging to file. I haven't played around with that much, but I am just going to go ahead and capture that to file so I can refer back to it if necessary. In the meantime, let's get out of here. This place is scary. So one of the things that you can do, as we discussed last time, is a Lua-style version of regular expressions for pattern matching. And you can use what's called capture groups to yank specific things out of there. And so the first thing we're going to do is get a sense of what these messages look like. Okay, so we can see LOTRO warrior scored a hit with a melee double attack on the deadly decoy for damage to morale, common damage. Now we don't actually care what type of damage it is. It could be westerness, it could be evil, it could be, I don't know, slime. I'm guessing there's more than one type of damage. So really what we want is this number here. So what do we see? We see scored a hit. We see scored a partially parried hit. Partially evaded hit. And we see no number whatsoever if the deadly decoy evades completely. Good job, deadly decoy. But we're definitely seeing scored a hit or scored a something on the deadly decoy for, and that's the damage we want. And then we can even find 2 morale. Okay, so that gives us an idea of some stuff to look for. Now this might not be a complete list, so we might need to add more things, more possible ways that the damage could be applied. But this will definitely get us started here. So let me go ahead and copy off. Let me copy those off into our main file here. We already had a couple of fragments here. So we're going to go ahead and Thurlor is proposing a starting pattern matching. I think that's a good start. Oh, did I actually get evade? Oops, I selected the wrong one. Let's go ahead and copy this one. Let's get a partially parried hit. Let's go ahead and get a partially evaded hit. And let's see, and we scored a hit. Awesome. And so what we're looking for is yeah, Thurlar, your proposed one here, oops, I didn't copy it. Oh, Chatty is doing weird things. Your proposed deadly decoy for a number damage to morale. Absolutely, that's very similar to what I was thinking as well. But the common damage here is something. And like any time when we're doing something complicated, it can be useful to look at a working example of a pattern matching to remind ourselves what this should look like. So I'm going to go ahead into the chat logger of the deed tracker. And remember that that's probably not the right place for that. It's probably in strings. Excellent. So this is an example of entering a chat channel and using the parentheses to do a capture. So let's see, possible interregion. We do a string.match, and we're getting back this or nothing. Neat. I think. I'll have to look into that. Change location, new location. Yeah. What? You don't like my pattern? Actually, I borrowed that pattern from Titan Bar, I think, because Titan Bar was tracking what region you go into, and then that's a really useful thing to be able to do since you can't ask what region you're currently in. Okay, so we have some ideas of what this should look like. Let's go ahead and decoy take damage pattern. Oh, I see. Yes. Thurlor is pointing out Titan Bar has a ongoing flaw in their pattern matching where they call out character classes instead of just saying anything. And I think this is based on an intent because a lot of regular expressions are kind of greedy, so they'll swallow up as much as they can. But it does get them into problems. So for instance, Titan Bar's reputation tracker fails to recognize when you gain reputation with the Rangers of Estildine because the I in Estildine has an accent character which does not show up in any of these groups here. That being said, this is, like I said, this was based on them and I just kind of lifted out. Oh, hey, I even attributed it. I lifted it out because it seemed like it was working there, and this was before I realized that this will fail on any, especially accented characters. Yeah, we learn as we go. Okay, so we want scored scored a something on the deadly decoy for something. And I really don't care what's after that. So that's kind of the idea that I'm thinking of. Now, what I don't know is, do these work outside of parentheses? I'm hoping so. Let's see. Yeah, maybe that's fine. I guess the question is, do I need a full match? Do I need to capture anything before that? I don't know. Let's find out. So we have test string 1 equals that. Test string 2 equals that. And test string 3 equals that. Excellent. Thurlor is critiquing my pattern as should be done. Now, one of the reasons I wanted to pull these out of the chat log is I want to just go ahead and test against them in a little test code here. So, looking at this chat logger, we know that this should look like string.match and get a result. All right, let's see what that looks like. We can do that. Well, we can do that right here, actually, while we're loading. So this is what we're looking at. And so we can go ahead and get test result 1 equals string.match. And the message is this. And then the decoy take damage pattern is that. Cool. And we just want to do that for each of the 3 so we can get a sense of how does pattern matching work here. And we're going to go ahead and take advantage of that dump function that we have, which will safely protect us from nil values. So turbine.shell.writeLine test result 1, and we'll go ahead and dump that. And same thing, we'll just go ahead and dump the results of 2 and 3 while we're at it, because Oh, and we need some things that will fail validation, or that would be good. So let's go ahead and grab this. String 4 equals that. Because it's a good idea to test not only that your code gets your positives correct, but also your negatives. Okay, let's give that a try. And this should run right at startup, and we'll probably see that it won't work quite right because of, as Thurlow pointed out, that dot star might be a little greedy. All right. Oh, hey, that's funny. All right, so absolutely. What we see here, as correctly predicted, is that the dot star here is greedily consuming the rest of the text because any of it matches. So, oh, did I? Thank you. Thank you for pointing out that I missed that. Yeah, that's my biggest problem with copy pasting code is I missed something. Okay, well, we correctly see that it does not find a match there. So, as Thurlow pointed out, we can be selective. Instead of saying all the things, we can go ahead and say just the numbers, please. So, do a 0 through 9 range, and at least one of them. So if there weren't any numbers there, that would be weird. What I'm curious about is that do we ever see fractional damage in a log message? Because we've seen that morale can be fractional in game, but I'm guessing when it comes through the chat log, it's always rounded to the nearest number. Okay, and with that, we can see that we're just getting the specific values that we would expect, or at least I think we are. What do we have? 85, 60, 48, and not a match. Neat. Okay, Thurlow thinks that these captures at the start and the beginning are superfluous. I think you're probably right about that. I put them in just basically, I don't feel confident in my understanding of pattern matching in Lua. I barely feel confident in regular expressions in general, but Lua's specific variation on the theme just has me be like, maybe. And so I do a lot of this kind of testing where we kind of narrow down on what is necessary. Awesome. So scored up something on the deadly decoy for capture. And we can see that those captures are giving us 85, 60, 48, and no capture, or no result, which is to say, whatever happened, it wasn't on the deadly decoy, or it wasn't a hit. Neat. In fact, we can even say that right here. Neat. Okay, so these test functions here, I don't necessarily want to get rid of them, but we don't need them anymore. Thurlow says, regular expressions are awesome. Something to always teach new engineers because they don't seem to learn it in college. That's a good question. Where did I first pick up regular expressions? It's been too long. I don't remember. But yeah, the things you can do with regular expressions are a bit obscene sometimes. In a good way? Yeah, anyway. Okay, so we have the text, or the text we want to do here, or the code we want. We want it to look like this. Awesome. We were monitoring chat somewhere. Let's take a look at that. Chat received. Awesome. Okay. So, what were we looking? Decoy deploy, decoy defeat. Now, I think we should be a little bit more specific about our intents here, because some of these messages are only coming through specific channels. So this is a chance to clean this up a little bit. If args.chatType equals turbine.chatType.def, then we can go ahead and deal with the decoy defeated. If args.chatType equals turbine.chatType.player combat, then we'll go ahead and deal with, the decoy deployed, maybe. And the reason why I'm interested in doing this is I'm not a big fan of premature optimization, but we get a lot of chat messages in LOTRO. So anytime you can just say nope, 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 nope to a chat message, that's going to just speed things up just slightly. And in combat, you're getting dozens or hundreds of messages a second, it seems like. And so there are a lot of things. A death message can sometimes be transposed with the final damage message. Well, we'll take a look at that. Although, now that we're tracking health, ideally we will actually hide the icon just before we get told of the icon's death. So that might not actually bite us. Okay, and then finally, enemy combat. And this is where we actually need to do something. And that kind of makes me sad because, again, we're getting a lot of enemy combat messages. And if we're applying this to each message, this search function, then that's you're going to be consuming some processor cycles that you wouldn't be otherwise. Now, fortunately, this message is going to pass or fail really fast. But sadly, it's not just a number, checking a number, which would be nice. Okay, so we remember that the code is supposed to look something like this. So we can say local is a decoy damage. No, decoy damage equals, and then this is a string.match. And we know that the message was this text with markup. Oh, text without markup, I should say. And the decoy take damage pattern. And it will be nil if there's no damage. So we can just go ahead and not do anything there. And then finally, we need the hunter assist window to be the tab that I tabbed to. Excellent. Decoy damage. And decoy damage. Neat. Now the rest of that was just testing code, so we'll just leave it for right now. Never know, might be useful. Okay, so we've at least loaded, and we see a deploying that's working. Awesome. So what I'm really interested in now is to go ahead and pop back in to an instance. Whoa, the Willow, level 31. And check out, has what we've done contained any bugs that are making it not work? Or is it just going to work? Okay. Oh, it's moving, it's moving. Oh, that's so cool. You're not going fast enough, trolls. Oh, that's pretty. Because that's actually been a thing that we've been concerned about is, how much do we need to peel the enemies off of the decoy? Is the decoy about to die? Is the decoy doing fine? And this is super exciting. I'm getting calls from the hunter player to do that again. Let's see if, okay. So, awesome. So we can see that they're attacking. We're getting notices that the health is going down. Health is going down, but it's not going down fast enough. No. Oh, that's beautiful. I'm just super excited. That pleases me greatly. Okay, so going back to the notes on the to-do. I'm going to bump through Laura's comments down a little bit for white space. Try to level 50. I think that would be very painful. Okay, so figure out how much morale decoy has at each level. That's done for 10 through 50. Awesome. Like I said, I'll come back and fill that in later because I do want it to be valid 51 through 130. But at 2 per minute, that's another long while. So I'm not going to stream that particular process. At least not on the official LOTRO stream channel. Awesome. Show a whole number of seconds remaining as a text and icon. That's an interesting one. But first of all, tracking damage. We're tracking damage. Awesome. Love it. Make window draggable. Let me go ahead and just bump that up. We haven't done that yet. Make it resizable. Haven't done that yet. But we've got a lot of really cool capability here. All right. So there was that question of if I die. Okay. So the decoy seems to have faded out without exploding, but it was around for a second or two. I want to see it die before it explodes. All right, that's fair. I do want to see it die before it explodes. Thanks, little redhead. Okay. I want to see it die before it explodes. I do. Okay, we'll bump this up. I'll go ahead and test to make sure it still disappears as it should. Awesome. Now, one thing I'm noticing from a visual perspective is the bar as it shrinks. Because they're both shrinking, it can be a little tough to tell where it is, and a black background behind it could definitely help with that, or some sort of an outline. And so those little refinements are definitely on the thought process here. The further pulling more mobs is, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm level 50 with 1600 morale. This is not going to go well. It's true. I bet someone in the Isengard would equip me if only I knew who to ask. All right. Go, decoy. Okay, well, that didn't quite do it, but I am so pleased. That looks fantastic. Okay, we'll step it up. That was level 40, and they almost kept up with the decoy. Let's go on into 45. Will of the Wills is actually really useful for testing purposes because it's available starting level 20, and you can do it solo, and so things are scaled, and you don't have to worry about mobs just obliterating you at first contact. Okay. Get a decoy. Ow. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, they're taking it out. Oh. Okay, we didn't get a hide. That's fascinating. Okay. So, defeated the deadly decoy. Did happen at 39 and 30. So, that was in the death channel. Let's see, combat event, yep. Let's go see that again. Oh, okay. Well, we're definitely seeing a disconnect here. So maybe my refactoring was incorrect. Oh, that's interesting. So why was it Master Trappers before, and now it's not? I mean, certainly I haven't spent any trait points. So, that's what it is. Okay. So before I had grabbed this on a properly spec'd out hunter, and not so much now. So we know Master Trappers is optional and defeated the deadly decoy. So we can go ahead and absorb. I wish I knew how to do an optional for a whole string, but it's fine. I think if we defeated the deadly decoy like that, we'll probably see. Oh, retreat, it's fine. We'll probably see what we're looking for here. So let's go ahead and reload and see if that indeed is the problem. Well, it is the problem. Let's see if that is indeed the fix. Zoop. Oh my goodness. That just pleases me. Defeated the deadly decoy. Okay, so we still didn't see that. Let's do that same thing we were doing before, where we know oops, that it can look like this, and we know that it can look like Master Trapper's deadly decoy. Oh, well, Thurlor is pointing out, I had a space before and after the dot star, that's why it didn't work. Interesting. You think so? But there is a space there. All right. So maybe that's the solution. So what we're going to do is go ahead and do a quick little test here. Same thing as before. But we're going to do the defeat message fragment. Oh, there isn't a defeat if Master Trapper's is. I like it. Yes, there's, that makes sense what you're saying, Thurlor, that there would only be one space there. Excellent. Okay, bad argument to match. Yeah, there is a bad argument. I foolishly changed the case for no good reason. Okay, so we can see defeated the Master Trappers at the decoy. Awesome. If we go ahead and replace that with a dot star, unload. Cool. We can see defeated at the decoy, Master Trappers at the decoy. That's the one. So we can go ahead and again, just comment that out. As we saw, it can be useful to be ready to test some variations like that when you're doing pattern matching. Okay, so final time. Well, no, not final time, but final time for now. All right, so they're aggroed on the decoy. They are crushing that decoy. But it's almost keeping up with them. Okay, and it's gone. And therefore, so am I. Yeah, the decoy, I think, has almost half again as much morale as I do right now. And probably way better armor. Okay, so awesome. We've seen that this is, well, we've seen a bunch of messages there. We've seen that we're able to detect we're able to detect incoming damage for the deadly decoy. We're able to update the bar here, and we're able to correctly identify whether or not we're a master decoy. I wonder if that slipped in anywhere else. Master Trapper's deadly. Okay, no. So awesome. And the one thing we haven't really explored is what happens if it blows up right after we die. Because I think that can happen, but I think we'll still see the normal chat log, so I'm not too worried about that. What am I missing as far as this morale bar is concerned? Oh, well, what I'm really missing is the thing that we were concerned about was in Treebeard on difficulty mode, we were really overusing the deadly decoy to take things out when we were doing less damage because of the difficulty mode. Oh, that's funny. It, oh well. Well, it damaged them, but it didn't take them out. I'm so used to the decoy, like.
Drop another one.
No, it's fine. It wouldn't survive. Okay, that's delightful. Yes, I am its decoy. Awesome. Okay. Oops. Cool. Now, I haven't been looking at it today, but if we come back into source control, we can see, did I forget to commit anything last time? And also, let's take a look at what's changed this time. Now, I'm using my tool of choice called fork, but whatever, if you're using source control, whatever works. Now, I have some uncommitted stuff on deed tracker I'm in the middle of. We'll just shrink that down. Okay. Oh, right, we haven't committed anything. That's very not good of me. Let's go ahead and clean this up a little bit and take a snapshot because I think we're in a great place and I don't want to lose that. So let's go ahead and, oh, you know what? This is not terrible to document things that we're expecting. So let me go ahead and let's go ahead and space these out a little bit. Thurlow points out, LOTRO interface has an SVN server integrated into it. Totally true. I have not played around with that. I'm using a Git repository on GitHub right now, and it's a private one because I'm lazy. But that is true. If you do not have any other options, do look into LOTRO Interface's SVN server. It's really interesting to see plugin developers doing their source control also on LOTRO Interface. Okay, so these are damage fragments, and we'll go ahead and save those off. And then the rest of this we can go ahead and delete as testing code. Okay, the target code, I'm going to leave it in here for right now because I need it for the other 80 levels. You can do a release directly from SVN without uploading a zip file? That is fascinating. That's really cool. And good to know. Thank you. Okay, you've deployed a decoy. Oh no, your decoy is defeated. Those are great. This was what we were looking at. We were just telling you what was coming out. Awesome. I think we're done with that. And that was helper. Okay. Cool. So this stuff is going to stay in, well, is it? Tell you what, it'll come out for the commit. Oh wait, I don't need any of that. Okay. Use to get the current level when something deadly decoy. Cool. Okay. So we'll save that off for a second. And then what's going on in the window? Anything weird that we don't want to commit? No, it's all great. Strings? That's someone else. Okay. Neat. Let's take a look at taking a snapshot here. So this is the initial commit of. Now we had talked about renaming this, and this is a perfect time to rename it because Hunter Assist turns out is a little bit broader than it's going to be. We have found that we don't get these same messages in chat for traps that we do for the deadly decoy, so we don't know when a trap has gone away. And so I think this is going to be just heavily focused on the deadly decoy. And if we ever expand it later, okay, we'll take that up at the time. Hunter Deadly Decoy plugin, says Little Redhead. That pretty much has it all, doesn't it? So let's come in to the plugins folder. It's on the nose, a little 2 on the nose. And we're going to go ahead and close these files so that I can freely rename Hunter Assist, Hunter Deadly Decoy. Yeah, sure. Boy, I should probably unload that from LOTRO, shouldn't I? All right, unload. Let's try that again. Okay, Hunter Deadly Decoy. Something's still open. Is it fork? Well, that is a neat comment. Let me come back in here for a minute and give that a try. So Thurlor comments that lime green might more closely match the bar, and sure, let's try it. Okay, summon that out. Yeah, that's a much closer match. I like it. It really stands out nicely. All right, Deadly Decoy, you can do better this. Oh, you're going to blow up before they get here, aren't you? No, I want to live. It's still on cooldown. Oh, well. That troll had to get one last hit on my dead body. That's very mean. Okay, so I'll tell you what. Hunter Deadly Decoy, we'll just make a brand new folder and move this stuff in. It's fine. Oh, it's the Excel file. Of course it is. I should have realized that, but it was on another window. Completely forgot it existed. All right, Hunter Deadly Decoy. We're going to go ahead and rename a few things. Now, first of all, the .plugin file, we need to rename it, and then we need to go ahead and stop moving my window to another window. Okay, then we need to go ahead and edit the contents of it. So, Hunter Deadly Decoy. Plugin track when a hunter's decoy deadly decoy will explode or die. Cool. And then finally, the package. Now, this is a point, I think, Thurlor, you might have mentioned this last time. You can automatically get the, oh, that's funny. You can get the name of the current package that you're in. And so, not that we change it very often, but in here, in main, where it's doing Hunter Assist, we could automatically get that path and not have to remember to update it here. But as I might have mentioned there, we don't do a rename very often, and so I'm just going to cross my fingers and hope to hit them all. Okay, we have the Deadly Decoy, we have the to-do file, we have the Hunter. We'll go ahead and call that Deadly Decoy window. And we just need to remember in main to go ahead and update that here as well. Now the final thing is, of course, renaming the class itself. The Hunter Assist window here is pretty easy. There's only 5 of them. So Hunter Deadly Decoy, and of course Hunter Assist. Oops. Hunter Assist. Okay, now, if we just do a quick little search for Hunter Assist in here. Let's see, clear, add folder. We're doing that in the Hunter Deadly Decoy. If we do a search for Hunter Assist, anything left? Well, just the image here. So, fix that, and we're good to go. Awesome. So, we can do a final little test here. Hunter Deadly Decoy, awesome. Load, awesome. All right, let's see if the 2 of you do better. Ow. Ow. Neat. Well, that's cool. We took each other out. Okay, so everything worked after that little refactoring, and so we can come back into, where did my source control go? We can come back into Fork and go ahead and take a snapshot. It's much nicer to not have to change those later. So, initial commit of Hunter Deadly Decoy version 1.0.0. Good thing you don't have any gear or it'll be useless by now. Yeah, because you know what you need to talk to Winda is novice status. And I forgot to get that before I left Archet. Okay, we have a to-do file, we have an Excel file, we have that Excel turned into a globals file, we have the decoy window, we have the main file, we have some util functions here that we haven't looked at today but saw last time, and the .plugin file itself. Awesome. Let's not worry about the deep tracker stuff right now. And we'll go ahead and push that out to the server. My favorite part of the distributed source control is the distributed part where it's not only on my machine, but it's on someone else's machine or possibly multiple machines, and it's a little bit more fault tolerant. Cool. Okay. Well, we're rapidly approaching the on the hour, and so I think this is a good time to kind of go into wrap-up mode. So first of all, I'm going to put this target change code back because I need it to continue getting those values that we talked about for the Deadly Decoy 51 through 130, and then maybe I'll make a new character and get 6 through 10, or 6 through 9 as well. Okay, so we'll put that in there. Didn't I say top of the hour? Oh, whatever. I might have said bottom. The clock's on the bottom of my screen. Okay, so let's take a look at that to-do file. The main thing that we were doing today was tracking damage and comparing that to a known value of health for the decoy. And it seems like the decoy's health is fixed based on the level of the hunter, regardless of gear or buffs of any kind that I've seen. So we know that based on your level, the decoy has health. We can track damage done to the decoy to show a moving bar for that health. And that means we can predict whether or not the decoy is actually going to explode in time or if it's going to be taken out ahead of time. And we can vary, are we attacking something that's attacking the decoy? We can pull that off so the decoy is taking less damage, or maybe do some sort of a trap to stun them, that kind of thing. Get our minstrel to do whatever it is that stuns the target. Whatever we need to make sure that decoy explodes, because otherwise what's the point of the decoy if it's not going to explode? So tracking damage, done. Figure out how much morale decoy has. Done for now. We'll circle back around on that. So some things I want to talk about next time are maybe fixing the UI a little bit. Thurlar mentioned that making the cooldown looking thing, but it would just show how much time is left on this. That could be cool, going from full to empty, kind of backwards from the normal filling in, maybe. Oh, and it's gone. Or at the very least, putting numbers out there as well, so you can see 14, 13, 12, 11, get a countdown going, not just a bar. And same thing for the health, getting a percentage of health, or the actual numbers, if you like, current out of max. Those all seem like really cool either options or just changes to the UI. Also, if we make it so that not everything is being scaled, just the image, those bars can have more pixels on them and we can have much finer grain resolution there. So stretch it only the image. So time/health bar can have finer grained, finer resolution. Thurlar has excellent advice. Better allocate 5 times the expected time for tweaking the UI. This is true. And one of the things that I want to do next time is actually add button to bring up UI as if it was seen in combat log. So this isn't good for the decoy receiving damage, but if all you want to do is see this icon here for dragging purposes, for whatever purposes, just to see the timer tick down, especially when we're just working on the time portion of that, it can be really useful to come in to options and have a debug button that says, make go. And it's not tied to the skill. It's not actually the skill. It just act as if you saw it start the 15 seconds, go. And that can be really useful. I do something similar in the deed tracker where actually, I might have that here. Let me load that up. So the deed tracker options, if we scroll down to the very bottom, and we're in debug mode, awesome. So there's buttons here. Pretend like you just completed Slayer of Breeland. and it goes through the code as if it had seen that in the chat log. So starting just after chat log processing, it executes that entire code path. And that can be really useful because it turns out completing deeds takes a while, and we don't want to have to complete a deed every time we want to test that path. Same thing with changing location. If I say the Shire, okay, it's actually, the chat log is Shire, right? Cool. So we can play around with, hey, you just saw me move to the Shire, right? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and it does. And so we can also say Bree Town, because Bree Town has its own regional chat for some reason. But Bree Town is in Bree Land, and we can know that, so it's fine. Same thing, if we want to say, hey, it looks like you leveled to 51, because it turns out leveling is kind of hard too, and so it can be useful to have a way to test those paths. And an announcement. I don't even remember what that's for. I'm not going to click that button. Cool. It probably doesn't know the Isengard region. That's an interesting point. Let's leave here. That is true. The regions were based off of live servers. I did not come into Bullroar for that purpose. So let's go to the Isengard Tavern and see if it knows what that is. Isengard is in Breland, as it turns out. Which is fine. Like it's a fake area. It doesn't need a specific region. Although, that's interesting. I wonder if we do a /LOC on the Bulwer. Yeah, okay, we're inside. Neat. Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you to those of you following along instead of watching people explore the new brawler and or legendary items stuff, or maybe you've got that going on in the background. This has been a lot of fun. I'm going to go ahead and sign off here now, but while we're doing this wrap up, if there's any final comments or questions, go ahead and launch those into the chat. Oh, if you are going to jump onto the Bulroar server tomorrow, and I recommend checking it out. If nothing else, the Isengard Tavern is a lot of fun to just wander around and look at all the various NPCs, be they toads or bears or the Ringwraith hobbit that runs around in Budgeford. It's a lot of fun to just check it out. If you do, go check out the forum post, the guide to the Isengard Tavern in the Bulroar public test server part of the forum. It's got a lot of good information there. All right. Cool. Well, that's all we're going to cover today. Thank you so much for joining me on this exploration of LOTRO plugins. I do hope to see you next week, and until then, keep plugging along. Bye-bye now.